of June from last year to July 1st this year, I think, or July or June, whatever. It's basically June, July. Some cut is a cutoff between 2021 to 2022. I saw the list at first, and I've already forgotten because it was a minute ago, so I last looked at it. But I saw the top two. I saw the top one. Thought number one made sense. Saw number two and was like, really? And then I forgot the rest of it. I was kind of surprised by two, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so we'll go with the top 10 here, and then like I'll like once the top 10 are out, we'll talk about like 11 through 20 and shit like that.
Okay.
So number 10 was Jonathan Gresham.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9, Big E.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, El Hijo del Vikingo.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, Bryan Danielson. Number 6, Cody Rhodes. Number 5, Bobby Lashley. Number 4, Hangman Page. Number 3, CM Punk. Number 2, Kazuchika Okada. And number 1, Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when I'm thinking about like and I don't know if their criteria have changed, like, and they've added these little.
Well, they
like,
stated the criteria when I read it, and when I read it, it made no sense.
It's like it seems like they didn't really adhere to this, and then they had a vision of what they wanted to do and emphasize, while rewarding weird agendas, and also really rewarding WWE and the value of WWE.
But you know, they've always done that. To be fair, they've always done that.
So when I look at Roman Reigns and he's had 6 matches this calendar year, I'm like, I feel like the rules are modified in a sense to make him number 1. So whatever. But I think Jonathan Gresham, Big E, and Cody Rhodes being in the top 10 is an absolute.
Add one more person. Who's number 8?
Vikingo.
Yeah, add him.
Yeah, so like
he's great, but like what? They don't care about it. Like the only reason why he's rated, the only reason why he's there is he's mega champion, and they don't even care about belts in Mexico, or at least in AAA. So what are we doing?
Like Gresham was inactive for a huge period. He generated nothing business wise. His promotion, Terminus, I don't even believe he was winning matches in it. He dropped the Ring of Honor title as soon as like possible. With the promotion he was in, and he wasn't really impressive or anything in his AEW appearances. The Final Battle show, like, I don't know if that's enough for a top 10 ranking. I think that's a really bad ranking.
Compared to who's not in the top 10, yeah.
Yes, and we'll get to that in a minute. Big E, we know the amount of losses and losing for a guy that hasn't wrestled since January, James.
Right.
What is he doing on this
well,
list?
People feel bad for him, and obviously there's a reason to feel bad for him, but if you're trying to do the list objectively, he missed a certain amount of time, which is no fault of his own because something tragic happened to him, absolutely. Right.
but number 9,
but his resume is his resume,
right?
And it wasn't gonna get better,
right? But number 9, like there's no way in hell he should be at number 9 if you talk about someone that hasn't worked since the end of January, got completely dominated as a champion win-loss wise, dropped the belt to Brock Lesnar in just hilarious fashion. They beat him over and over and told you he was a second-class world champion. I thought wins and losses mattered in PWI. Apparently not. Vikingo, I think that's dopey lucha pick, and leave it at that.
Which is weird because like that wasn't. I don't recall. I have to look through, but I don't recall any like, any other champion like from Mexico like being high like this. And like we also know this, Rich. A lot more people in America watch Puro and even Joshi than they do Lucha Libre. So it's like, how do you come up with this list? As far as it was weird. It's weird.
I'm looking at the top 50, right? I can't even see another Mexican. Oh, excuse me. The only other Mexican wrestler it looks like is Psycho Clown at number 41. Oh, excuse me. There's also Bandito. Okay, at 31. Okay, so I was gonna be like,
But
hold
Rich,
on,
who's the actual top star in AAA?
Psycho Clown,
All right then. And what number was Psycho Clown?
41.
41 and 8.
Now Cody Rhodes. I haven't talked about Cody in what seems to be a long time here.
He's been off TV. He's been off air.
He's been off air, exactly. And also, we are talking about July of last year,
right,
through June of this year.
You're right, which means he only was around from the start of the date of the period. He may have left, had one of his like absences in AEW, came back, left it at the beginning of January,
disappeared for months and months,
showed up at WrestleMania this year, and then 2 months later was off TV.
What are we doing here?
He never won a title. He never won a Money in the Bank. He never won a Royal Rumble.
He won the TNT title and immediately lost it.
Right. Like, I forgot how long the date was, but like, it doesn't make any, like, so basically you're putting him in the top 10 based off of 2 great months in WWE where he never won anything of significance
in 3 matches.
And I'm not knocking him because 2 months was great, right? Like, but it was still 2 months nonetheless. So like that
number 6,
out of 12 months.
So and we think about how uneven, and this is supposed to be a kayfabe thing, right? How uneven he was in kayfabe in AEW. So it's like, what part of this are you rewarding? That's what I want to know.
But even that, like, he was a champ. He was the champion of the. He's the champion of the secondary men's title. For how long was it? Weeks. He won it. He won it at the end of December, right?
Yeah.
And then he lost it. What, like 14, 15, 3 weeks? Yeah. Was it 3 weeks?
Like, he missed a couple weeks with COVID jail. I think it was essentially the end of January, and then he was.
Did he win it? Did he win it at Winter's Coming or?
No, he won it on Rampage Christmas night.
Okay, so he won it on Christmas. He lost it before like President's Day and got the company.
Right.
And then he showed up for 2 months in WWE. Like that doesn't scream top 10 to me.
Yeah, that's really bad. Like, I don't know whether Gresham or his is worse, but I'm looking at both of those. Like, and this isn't traditional. Rich Ladder doesn't dig Cody Jonathan Gresham. This is like, this holds up to no scrutiny, especially when you talk about number 11, Shingo Takagi, who main evented Wrestle Kingdom, albeit in a loss, right? Who was the IWGP champion for most of the period last year in 2021, right? Yeah. Who had all those great matches, put New Japan on his back, right? John Moxley, how about that guy? Like, who never gets pinned, who missed a few, like a month and a half, maybe. How long did he miss at the end? It was
12 weeks.
Okay, he was gone for 12 weeks, right? And then he came back January through the end of June, won the tournament again, main evented the pay-per-view, was on TV winning left and right, and basically is in the driver's seat for Flair Thaz right now, right? And him being at 12 behind Jonathan Gresham is an absolute joke. Behind Big E, joke. Behind Cody, joke. Behind Danielson, I don't know. Danielson has a lot to, he's taken some big losses in that period.
Yeah.
But he took they were only to the best of the best. So,
right.
You want to start talking about Lashley? Like, I don't really have a problem with Lashley. They were pushing him to a big extent. They did
Lashley is absolutely deserving of a top 8-5 spot, whatever you want to. So I have nothing to say bad about Lashley. His spot is one of those that are actually earned in the kayfabe sense from PWI's perspective. So I ain't got nothing to say on Lashley. Have no notes. They did right. WWE did all the right things with Lashley.
Yeah.
Same thing with Roman. Like, those guys, we talking about these kayfabe sense. They're absolutely there in the top 5. Argue whoever you want to. You know what this is. If you're going through PWI, you know that like guys like that are going to be way up there. So, but like once you get below that, it's like, okay, it's looking kind of weird.
It's funny. Matt Cardona at 13 over the lights.
He's in one spot in front of Moxley,
or behind Moxley.
Oh, behind. Okay, yeah.
Then there's Josh Alexander, and then ahead of Hiroshi Tanahashi, ahead of MJF, ahead of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins being at 17 is kind of weird because all he does is lose matches. So once again, I thought this was
he's 2-10 or something like that in like in the evaluation period.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I thought this
like
was PWI. I thought this had to do with wins and losses in kayfabe. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't. It's just WWE. Just let us know that.
And then, like, to be fair, like, he had the great feud with Cody. He lost all of them, but but that was for a purpose. But like the when you go through his resume, it's like, oh, okay, like he went 2-10 in the year on pay-per-view in big matches. One of the wins is like he won on DQ because Roman Reigns choked the life out of him and wouldn't let go.
Like, how is he in front of Chris Jericho?
I wouldn't put him in front of Jericho.
That's bad. He's in front of Adam Cole as well. He's in front of Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega laid it at 19.
I don't necessarily mind the Adam Cole thing because Cole was in NXT, and then he went to AEW, like he was hot for the to build him up to get to Revolution, and then they started using him as a vehicle to as a condom for AEW and Forbidden Door. So I don't really, it doesn't really bother me as much, but yeah, there's a lot of weird things. I honestly quite think you look at it from a kayfabe perspective, this seems like a really down year.
It does.
Even while we're agreeing about some stuff, like some of the stuff, like just in general speaking, like compared to like let's say last year,
I feel like Roman had a stronger case last year. Like, and then like he kind of just gets
when he lost to Kenny.
Yeah, when he just kind of gets this one, almost like he backdoors his.
The field was less. Yeah, the field was less difficult. Yeah.
MJF barely wrestles, so he's 16.
Yeah, right.
Kenny missed most of the marking period. He ended up with a 19 kind of dopey rating, but I'm not complaining about that necessarily.
How many months did he wrestle in the period?
Maybe 4,
if it's July,
4,
July, August,
maybe?
September. July, August, September, October, like 5 months out of the 12. Like, yeah, man, it's 4.5 months out of this. Well, I don't even know what you do with Kenny Omega. So that like whatever rating he got is kind of like, ugh.
Yep. And then Drew McIntyre is 20. So Jay White 23. Other egregious things I see: Braun Breaker over Will Ospreay and Sammy Guevara. So Sammy Guevara's,
I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry.
So Sammy Guevara's TNT title wins and defenses don't count.
I didn't even think about the Guevara thing. I was talking about Ospreay. Okay. So
Ospreay 27.
Okay. Has Braun Breaker ever performed in front of more than 5,000 people?
No.
What's there to talk about then? I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, they send friends and family to the show now, to the PC or wherever they're doing it now. They don't even bring in like the fan, like the 400 used to come in and get the tickets all the goddamn time for tapings anymore, like it was 7 years ago. Like, it's friends and family that's cheering for these matches.
Yeah. And I know the response.
Like, what did they do? The one that they did WrestleMania weekend? Was it 3,000 or 4,000 people for that takeover?
I think it was like 3,000. Like 3,500.
Yeah, right. 4 years ago, they were doing 15,000 people at these shows. Why are we putting? What was it? Where was he ranked?
He was ranked 26th.
Why is he in the top 30? In kayfabe, he's a developmental champion.
I have nothing for you on that.
He's a developmental champion, and while the developmental is ice cold. The brand of it is ice cold.
And he lost matches at those. Like, he lost to...
Yeah, he lost to Ziggler. That's right.
Ziggler. I know he won it back, but he lost to Ziggler. Like, that's a... And
where was Ziggler ranked?
He is not in the top 50. So, I'm looking at other stuff they have... I know the common thing will be, well, make your own list. Like, that's what they like to say, right? I'm like, well, how about y'all do the list better? Like, because that's y'all's job. Like, and if we can read a list and be like, oh, okay, there's like one or two things that just are kind of weird. But like, when you add all these things up, it looks like, all right, what was the agenda here?
Right. I don't remember last year's being as like obviously these lists are always going to be, you know, people have biases, what have you, especially when it comes in regard to the criteria, because you can bend the criteria to mean whatever you want it to mean from year to year. As much like like a sports league MVP debate. But I don't remember last year like feeling like there was this many like weird things in the top 10. Maybe it was because it was a stronger year kayfabe wise for all the people, and they were healthier because, you know, like AEW got kicked in the teeth at the beginning of the year as far as injuries. So like people like you mentioned, Cole, Danielson, Punk, Omega, like all of them had, you know, people that would have been in there, but they were all like missed time in the first half of the year. So that definitely is people that were missed from the equation. But and even Cody, when Cody missed the time going from AEW to WWE, and then the pec tear. So like, yeah, next year when we're going to see Cody in there, we'll see, you know, Danielson, we'll see Omega, whatever else. We'll look at it and be like, oh, this makes a lot more sense. And then you won't see like things that look odd, like Vikingo in the top 10, or someone that's a you know, someone that's a champion in Impact being in the top 10. That this won't happen in a normal year.
Like,
so it's just weird.
Jonathan Gresham over Shingo is like, someone should be arrested for that. Like, I don't like.
I think like at this point, like
jail.
Also at this point, I know there's a PWI 150 for women, but like at what point do they unleash the women on here can make this thing more sense? Because I'm looking at this top 10, I'm like, all right, man, I'm looking at this top 10. Why the fuck can't you just break the glass, put Bianca Belair in here to make your list look more reputable? Because like, it makes no sense. Does it make sense to you to see Jonathan Gresham or Cody for basically like 3.5 months worth of really good work, like being on here instead of Bianca Belair? That's weird. I just find it to be weird.
Yeah, and they have women on the list, but they're only women that do intergender, so they can actually compete against other people on the list for the spots. I guess that's their logic behind it. And
so who's on there? Allie Cash and who else?
Trisha Dora, always there. So
okay,
let's see. I believe
she was hanging out with was it Miyu Yamashita? I saw him on Twitter hanging out. I think she was with somebody that was over here right now. It wasn't Jungle, I don't think. You know, Jungle's over here right now. I think she wrestled this weekend against Maya Yuki. I think was it Deadlock? Whatever. We're digressing, but yeah, it's a strange list. The only thing I really agree with is number 1. Everything else is kind of up for grabs. Like I think Lashley, where he landed, was fine. Okada, that was kind of odd because of how cold like New Japan is for Western fans. Like I know he won, you know, the 2 main events of Wrestle Kingdom. Maybe that's what he's like, you know, same thing, kind of similar to when we, you know, almost like except for like 1 year of late or last couple years of late, like
won a G1.
If you won, yeah, that too. Like, you know, it's pretty much like in a lot. Like if you win the WrestleMania main event, like you get number 1 on this list almost like 9 times out of 10. Maybe like that's what put him over the top for Wrestle Kingdom. Was like won both nights of Wrestle Kingdom, also won the G1. He's number 2. Punk got hurt. Omega got hurt. Danielson got hurt. Moxley was away. Cole got hurt. We're out of options.
They're like, we can't give
for
it
a good
to,
number 2.
We're not giving it to this.
You can't give it Lashley.
Like, no, we're not giving it to this Japanese guy in the down year, even though he has all the winning that you would want on this thing. So it's like,
yeah,
you know, I implore people to take a look at that criteria that they put out and tell me they didn't write that specifically so they could make number 1 the way it was. Like I'd never heard of that like 10 match thing ever like in there. So but moving forward.